Open this now, my child. Do not delay, because what I am about to say will change the way you understand your suffering. Stop what you are doing for a moment and listen carefully to me, because this message did not reach you by accident. I brought you here intentionally. I saw the heaviness inside your heart before you even pressed play. I saw the questions you have been carrying quietly. I saw the emotional exhaustion you have hidden behind your smile. And I could not remain silent any longer. There are moments when heaven watches quietly, and there are moments when heaven interrupts everything to speak directly into a wounded soul. This is one of those moments. I need you to stay with me now, because what I am about to reveal will explain things your heart has struggled to understand for a very long time. I watched you struggle in silence while everyone else thought you were okay. I saw how hard you tried to appear strong. I saw how often you answered people politely while carrying pain you did not know how to explain. I saw the tiredness in your eyes that nobody else noticed. I saw how you kept moving through daily life even when your spirit felt drained. People around you may have assumed you were handling everything well because you continued showing up, continued speaking kindly, continued trying to survive quietly. But I saw what was happening beneath the surface. I saw the pressure building inside you. I saw the emotional weight becoming heavier day after day. And my child, I know there were moments when you felt like nobody truly understood how exhausted you had become. If you skip this message, you may miss the exact moment heaven begins to move in your life. Stay here with me. Do not rush away from these words. I know your heart has grown cautious because disappointment has visited you too many times. I know you have learned to expect silence because waiting became painful. But listen carefully now, because something is changing. This is not just another emotional moment that fades away tomorrow. Heaven is speaking intentionally into your life right now, because the season you are standing in is beginning to shift. You may not see it fully yet. You may not understand it completely yet. But there are things moving around your life already that your eyes cannot recognize yet. And if you walk away too soon, you may miss the very confirmation your soul has been crying out for during sleepless nights. I saw every closed door that made you cry privately. I know exactly which disappointments wounded your heart most deeply. I know the opportunities you prayed for that suddenly disappeared. I know the relationship you hoped would stay but still walked away. I know the moments when you stood before closed doors wondering why everything seemed to work for other people while your prayers remained unanswered. I saw how those disappointments slowly affected your spirit. At first you still held on to hope strongly. But after enough closed doors, your expectations became quieter. Your heart became more guarded. You stopped speaking certain dreams aloud because disappointment had taught you to protect yourself emotionally. But my child, those closed doors were never proof that I abandoned you. They were part of something deeper that you could not fully see at the time. I saw the nights you begged me for answers and fell asleep exhausted from carrying too much. I know how many nights your mind refused to rest because your heart was too heavy. I know how often you replayed situations in your thoughts trying to understand why things happened the way they did. I know there were nights when tears came quietly because the emotional pressure inside you had become too much to hold back any longer. You whispered prayers into the darkness, hoping for relief, hoping for clarity, hoping for peace. Sometimes your prayers were long and emotional. Sometimes all you could offer was silence and exhaustion. But I heard every single moment. I listened to every restless thought. I stayed beside you through every sleepless hour, even when my presence felt quiet to you. You thought I was absent during your dry season. but I was preparing something bigger than you imagine. I know that dryness confused you. I know there were moments when everything felt empty spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. You kept waiting for things to improve, but instead the season stretched longer than you expected. And slowly you started believing the silence meant distance. You started fearing that maybe heaven had forgotten your name. But my child, I was never absent. I was working in hidden places while you focused only on what was visible. The dry season was not punishment. It was preparation. I was strengthening parts of you that comfort could never strengthen. I was teaching your heart deeper trust while you walked through uncertainty. I was protecting your future in ways your present pain could not yet understand. I cling to your promises. Lord, if His word is your lifeline. I never stopped watching over you, even when silence made you feel forgotten. Even during the hardest moments, my eyes never left your life. I saw every tear you hid. I saw every emotional breakdown you tried to recover from quietly. I saw how close you came to giving up some nights. I saw how mentally exhausted you became from carrying fears privately. And still, I stayed near you. My silence did not mean absence. My quietness did not mean indifference. Sometimes my greatest work happens beneath the surface where human eyes cannot yet recognize movement. You measured my presence by visible change, but I was already moving invisibly long before circumstances shifted outwardly. There is something I am releasing over your life right now that no person will be able to stop. Listen carefully because this matters deeply. The heaviness that has surrounded you will not control your future forever. The delays will not continue endlessly. The emotional exhaustion will not define the rest of your life. I am releasing strength where weakness once ruled. I am releasing peace where fear has lived too long. I am releasing clarity into places where confusion kept clouding your thoughts. And no human opinion, no closed door, no past disappointment will be able to stop what heaven has already decided to place over your life now. The unanswered prayers were not rejection. They were preparation. I know unanswered prayers wounded your heart deeply because you interpreted delay through the lens of pain. You thought heaven was withholding love from you. But many times I delayed answers because immediate answers would have led you into deeper pain later. There were things you desired emotionally that would have damaged you spiritually if they arrived too early. There were doors you begged me to open that contained burdens you could not yet see clearly. I saw consequences hidden behind certain opportunities. I saw heartbreak hidden behind certain desires. And because I love you deeply, I protected you through delays you misunderstood. What held you back before will not be able to stop what I am about to do now. The fear that exhausted your mind will not control this next season. The disappointment that weakened your hope will not define your future. The emotional heaviness that followed you through sleepless nights will not remain forever. I am stepping into your situation with power greater than the obstacles that once surrounded you. What seemed impossible before will begin moving differently because heaven has already begun shifting things around your life. I know exactly how close you came to giving up. I know there were moments when your heart became so tired that you stopped expecting things to improve. I know there were nights when you wondered if you could continue carrying this emotional pressure much longer. I know there were moments when silence felt so heavy that hopelessness almost convinced you to stop believing anything would ever change. But even in those moments, I stayed close. I protected your heart from fully collapsing beneath the weight. I preserved your future while you struggled to see beyond your pain. Stay with me until the end, because this message carries the confirmation your soul hath been waiting for. Your suffering was never invisible to heaven. Your tears were never ignored. Your dry season was never meaningless. Everything you walk through is connected to something greater unfolding around your life now. I'm opening what was closed. I am restoring what became exhausted. I am breathing strength into the places where your spirit grew weak. And my child, nothing will be able to stop what I am releasing over your life today. My child, stop for a moment and listen carefully to me, because I am speaking directly into your life right now with urgency that cannot wait any longer. Do not move away from this message too quickly. Do not dismiss this as coincidence. I brought you here intentionally because your heart has been carrying questions, pain, exhaustion, and silent fears that heaven has been watching closely for a very long time. This is not just another ordinary moment in your day. This is an interruption from heaven. This is my voice reaching into your struggle before your pain convinces you that nothing will ever change. I know how tired your soul has become. I know how long you have been trying to survive quietly while carrying emotional pressure nobody fully understands. And I could not remain silent any longer while you continued believing you were alone in this battle. Please support our channel. Our work is to bring happiness in your life and devotion to God. And if you want, you can donate to us, given link in description or pinned comment, to show your support. Open your heart to me now, because what I am about to say will shift the way you understand everything you have been walking through. I know there were moments when you thought heaven had become distant. I know there were nights when silence made you feel forgotten. But my child, I was never absent. Not once. I watched every tear. I listened to every exhausted prayer. I stayed beside you through every sleepless night when your thoughts became too heavy to carry quietly. Even when nobody around you recognized how deeply you were struggling, I saw it completely. I saw the emotional weight pressing against your heart. I saw how often you smiled publicly while privately feeling exhausted inside. I saw how many times you told yourself to stay strong because you did not know what else to do. You are specifically chosen for this moment. I need you to understand that deeply before anything else. Out of all the distractions that could have taken your attention somewhere else today, you are here hearing my voice because heaven guided you here intentionally. I saw your face before you even arrived at this message. I saw the heaviness in your spirit before you pressed play. I saw the quiet desperation hidden beneath your calm appearance. And I decided this would be the moment I spoke directly into your life. This is not random. This is not luck. This is not an emotional accident. This is a divine interruption, because your heart has carried enough pain in silence already. There are moments when I watch quietly while my children grow through difficult seasons. But there are also moments when I step directly into the middle of their suffering and speak clearly before hopelessness takes deeper root inside them. This is one of those moments for you. I know your heart has grown tired from waiting. I know disappointment has slowly weakened your expectations. I know silence has made you question whether your prayers still matter. But my child, your prayers never stopped reaching heaven. Not one tear escaped my attention. Not one sleepless night went unnoticed. Not one hidden breakdown happened outside my sight. I am speaking strongly from the first moment because I need you to feel the urgency of my love toward you right now. I am not calmly observing your pain from a distance. I am stepping directly into it. I am interrupting the heaviness before it convinces you to stop hoping completely. I am interrupting the emotional exhaustion before it teaches your soul to expect nothing good anymore. I know there were moments when your spirit became dangerously tired. Moments when fear became louder than peace. Moments when disappointment became stronger than expectation. And I could not allow your heart to continue carrying that weight without hearing my voice clearly again. My child, this message is heaven sent specifically for you. I know you may struggle to believe that fully because pain often makes people feel invisible. But you are not invisible to me. You are not forgotten in the middle of your struggle. You are not lost among millions of other hurting people. I know your name personally. I know the details of your story. I know the wounds you never explained fully to anyone else. I know the fears you carry privately at night. I know the emotional pressure that has followed you quietly through this season. And because I know all of this, I brought this message directly into your path today. I need you to stop believing the lie that heaven abandoned you during the hard season. Silence did not mean absence. Delay did not mean rejection. The closed doors did not mean I stopped caring about your future. You only saw what was happening on the surface, but I was working beneath the surface in ways you could not yet recognize. I saw dangers hidden behind certain opportunities. I saw pain attached to paths you begged me to open. I saw future consequences that your present emotions could not fully understand. And because I loved you too deeply to allow temporary desires to destroy your future, I protected you through delays you misunderstood. Still, I know the waiting wounded your heart deeply. I know there were nights when you stared into silence wondering why nothing seemed to move. I know there were moments when you prayed and then cried because the answers did not come quickly. I know how emotionally exhausted you became from trying to stay hopeful while carrying disappointment repeatedly. But listen carefully now because this truth matters deeply. I never stopped moving around your life even during the quiet season. There were unseen battles being fought for you while you slept. There were unseen dangers being blocked while you focused only on visible disappointments. There were things I prevented that you still do not fully realize today. While you cried over what did not happen, I was protecting you from outcomes that would have broken your spirit more deeply later. While you interpreted silence as distance, I was carefully preparing the exact moment where everything would begin shifting differently. My child, you have carried emotional exhaustion for too long. You became tired from pretending you were okay while silently fighting heavy thoughts. You became tired from carrying pressure alone because you feared burdening other people with your pain. You became tired from surviving one difficult day after another without understanding why the season kept stretching longer. But today I need your heart to hear me clearly. The season is beginning to change. That is why I opened this message with urgency. That is why my voice is reaching toward you so strongly right now. Because heaven is not indifferent toward your suffering. I am not emotionally disconnected from your tears. I am not casually observing your heartbreak from far away. I have been close to every painful moment, every sleepless night, every hidden breakdown, every fearful thought, every exhausted prayer. And now I am speaking because I refuse to let you continue believing you are abandoned while I am actively preparing restoration around your life. You are chosen for this moment because your heart needed confirmation before hopelessness grew deeper. You needed to hear that your pain has been seen. You needed to hear that heaven has not forgotten your name. You needed to hear that the delays were not meaningless and the silence was not empty. Most importantly, you needed to hear that I am still moving right now, even if your eyes cannot fully see the changes yet. So stay with me now, my child. Let my voice interrupt the heaviness inside your mind. Let my presence enter the exhausted places inside your heart. Let yourself believe again that heaven is still actively involved in your story. Because I did not bring you this far to abandon you now. I brought you here today because the time has come for your soul to hear clearly that I was never absent, never distant, and never finished working on your life. My child, I watched every silent struggle you thought nobody noticed. I saw the pain you carried privately while the world around you continued moving as if everything was normal. I saw how hard you worked to keep yourself together emotionally when inside you felt close to collapsing. You became skilled at hiding your suffering because you feared becoming a burden to others. You smiled when people looked at you. You answered politely when someone asked if you were okay. You continued showing up, continuing responsibilities, continuing conversations, continuing ordinary life while your heart quietly carried storms nobody else could fully see. But I saw all of it clearly. I saw the hidden suffering behind your calm appearance. I saw the heaviness inside your thoughts while your mouth said everything was fine. I saw how often you felt emotionally overwhelmed but forced yourself to stay composed because you did not know how to explain the depth of your exhaustion. There were moments when you wanted someone to truly notice your pain without forcing you to speak every detail aloud. But instead, you stayed quiet because your soul had become too tired to explain itself repeatedly. You convinced yourself to survive silently. You told yourself to keep going one more day. But my child, heaven was never blind to your suffering. Say you are my sunrise, Jesus, if he's brought light to your dawn. I know there were nights when you sat alone carrying emotions too heavy for words. Nights when your chest felt tight from holding back tears all day. Nights when your thoughts would not slow down because fear, disappointment, and exhaustion kept circling through your mind. I watched every one of those moments. I saw how often you replayed painful situations privately while pretending publicly that everything was under control. I saw how deeply certain disappointments wounded your heart even when nobody around you realized it fully. And I know there were times when the hidden suffering became so intense that you questioned how much longer you could continue carrying everything quietly. You experienced quiet breakdowns that nobody else understood because they happened behind closed doors, inside sleepless nights, and deep within your private thoughts. Outwardly, you still looked functional. You still completed tasks. You still answered messages. You still appeared strong enough to survive daily life. But inwardly, your spirit was becoming exhausted from carrying emotional pressure continuously. I saw the moments when you finally stepped away from everyone because the weight inside your heart became too much to hide any longer. I saw the moments when tears came suddenly because your emotions had been held in too long. I saw the moments when you stared into silence trying to calm your own mind because nobody else understood how loud your thoughts had become. My child, emotional exhaustion reached deeper into your life than even you fully realized. This was not ordinary tiredness. This was soul-level exhaustion. This was the result of carrying fear too long, carrying disappointment too long, carrying unanswered questions too long while trying to remain emotionally steady. You became tired from constantly overthinking. You became tired from surviving emotional battles privately. You became tired from pretending you were stronger than you truly felt inside. And slowly the exhaustion began affecting every part of your life. Joy became harder to feel. Peace became harder to maintain. Rest became harder to find because your mind and heart rarely stopped carrying pressure. I know there were mornings when you woke up already emotionally tired before the day even started. I know there were moments when simple responsibilities felt heavier because your inner life was already overwhelmed. I know there were days when people around you had no idea how much energy it took just to appear normal publicly. They saw your outward actions, but they did not see the emotional battle happening quietly beneath the surface. They did not see the mental pressure following you constantly. They did not see the heaviness sitting on your spirit late at night after everyone else stopped paying attention. But I saw it all. I saw the hidden tears you quickly wiped away so nobody would ask questions. I saw the moments when your voice stayed calm while your heart felt broken inside. I saw how often you sat quietly trying to process emotions you did not fully understand yourself. I saw the loneliness that followed you even when surrounded by people because nobody fully understood the depth of what you were carrying. I saw how emotionally isolated you became while trying to protect others from your pain. My child, there were moments when you felt like your suffering was invisible because nobody around you truly recognized it. People assumed you were managing because you continued functioning outwardly. But I know the truth. I know how many nights you cried privately after spending all day pretending you were okay. I know how many times you wanted to give up emotionally, but forced yourself to continue because you did not know what else to do. I know how exhausted your heart became from carrying burdens you never fully released. The quiet breakdowns affected you more deeply than people realized. Some days your emotions felt numb because your heart became overloaded. Some days you felt emotionally distant because surviving required shutting certain feelings down temporarily. You laughed less freely. You rested less peacefully. You trusted less easily. Even hopeful moments became difficult because disappointment had slowly trained your heart to expect pain more than peace. But my child, none of this escaped my attention. I watched every hidden struggle carefully because I cared deeply about your heart. Your suffering never annoyed me. Your emotional exhaustion never pushed me away. I was not disappointed that you became tired. I understood why you became tired. Human hearts were never designed to carry endless pressure without eventually becoming overwhelmed. Yet you kept trying to survive silently because you believed you had to remain strong all the time. And while you carried everything quietly, your soul slowly became exhausted beneath the weight. There were moments when you sat in silence because explaining your pain felt impossible. You did not even know where to begin anymore. Too many emotions had gathered together. Too many disappointments had layered over one another. Too many sleepless nights had weakened your spirit. So instead of expressing everything openly, you simply carried it privately and hoped tomorrow would somehow feel lighter. But the emotional exhaustion followed you day after day because hidden pain does not disappear simply because it remains unspoken. My child, I need you to hear this deeply now. Your hidden suffering was never hidden from heaven. Every silent struggle reached me completely. Every emotional breakdown was seen clearly. Every sleepless night mattered. Every anxious thought mattered. Every exhausted prayer mattered. You may have felt invisible to people, but you were never invisible to me. Even when nobody checked on your heart deeply enough, I remained close. Even when your pain stayed buried beneath your smile, I saw it fully. Even when you stopped expressing how tired you truly felt, I still understood the emotional pressure crushing your spirit quietly. And throughout all of it, I never abandoned you for a single moment. I stayed beside you during every hidden battle because my love does not disappear when suffering becomes messy or difficult. I remained near your heart while you struggled privately. I watched over your mind while fear tried to exhaust you mentally. I protected your spirit while disappointment tried to weaken your hope completely. You survived moments you thought would destroy you because I quietly carried you through them even when you could not recognize my hands holding you. So stop believing your pain went unnoticed, my child. Stop believing your quiet suffering meant heaven was absent. I watched every silent struggle carefully. I stayed beside every hidden breakdown lovingly. And even now, while you listen to my voice, I am still near the exhausted places inside you that nobody else fully sees. My child, I know the closed doors hurt you more than you admitted to anyone. I know there were moments when rejection felt deeply personal. You prayed for certain opportunities with sincere hope. You imagined how life might change if those doors opened. You believed your relief would finally come through certain people, certain answers. But instead, the doors stayed shut. The opportunities disappeared. Relationships changed. The answers delayed. And slowly your heart began interpreting every closed door as proof that something was wrong with you. I saw how painful those moments became. I saw how rejection wounded your confidence quietly. I saw the disappointment sitting heavily inside your chest when something you hoped for suddenly moved away from you. I saw how you replayed certain situations repeatedly in your mind, wondering what you could have done differently. You questioned yourself. You questioned your worth. You questioned whether you were simply meant to keep losing the things you prayed hardest for. But my child, the closed doors were never punishment. You only saw the loss on the surface, but I saw the future connected to those doors. I saw what would happen later if certain paths remained open. I saw hidden pain standing behind opportunities that looked beautiful from a distance. I saw emotional damage attached to things your exhausted heart desperately wanted because you believed they would finally bring relief. But relief that destroys your peace later is not a blessing. And because I love you deeply, I could not allow every desire to enter your life simply because you wanted it emotionally. There were doors you cried over that would have slowly broken your spirit if they stayed open longer. There were people you begged me not to lose who carried hidden pain your heart could not survive forever. There were opportunities you called blessings that would have quietly drained your peace, your joy, and your future strength over time. But because you could not see beyond the present moment, the rejection felt cruel instead of protective. I know you asked why certain things did not work out. I know you stood in confusion wondering why prayers remained unanswered, while other people seemed to move forward easily. I know there were nights when disappointment became so heavy that you started expecting rejection before anything even happened. Your heart became cautious because pain repeated itself enough times to make hope feel dangerous. But my child, delays and closed doors were not evidence that heaven stopped caring about your future. They were evidence that heaven saw things your present emotions could not yet understand. There were missed opportunities that wounded you deeply because you attached your future happiness to them. You believed certain outcomes would finally fix the heaviness inside your heart. You believed certain open doors would finally end the waiting season. But I saw where those paths truly ended. I saw the emotional exhaustion waiting further ahead. I saw the regret hidden behind temporary excitement. I saw consequences that would not appear immediately but would slowly damage the life I was trying to protect inside you. Sometimes what looks like rejection on earth is actually protection from heaven. I know the truth may feel difficult to accept while remembering how painful those losses were. But my child, I need you to trust that I never closed a door carelessly. I never delayed an answer without reason. I never removed something from your life without seeing the deeper picture more clearly than you could. Your pain was real, but the protection was real too. There were moments when you begged me to move faster because waiting exhausted your spirit. You wanted immediate answers because uncertainty became emotionally overwhelming. But many delays happened because timing matters more than you realized. Some blessings arriving too early would have crushed the exhausted version of you that existed in those seasons. Some opportunities required deeper healing inside your heart before you could carry them safely. Some answers needed preparation happening beneath the surface first. You thought delay meant abandonment, but delay often meant preparation. While you focused on the closed doors, I focused on protecting your future. While you cried over what was not happening, I quietly prevented pain you were never meant to carry. There were conversations I stopped before they created deeper wounds. There were paths I interrupted before they damaged your peace permanently. There were situations I slowed down because your emotional exhaustion would have accepted unhealthy things simply out of desperation for relief. My child, you must understand something important now. Not every open door is sent by me. Some doors appear attractive only because your heart has become tired from waiting. Some opportunities seem perfect simply because they promise immediate escape from loneliness, pressure, or emotional pain. But I look beyond temporary comfort. I see the ending before the beginning fully unfolds. I see where every path leads long after excitement fades. And because I love you more deeply than you realize, I refuse to bless things that would quietly destroy what I built inside you. I know certain rejections made you feel unwanted. I know certain losses made you question your value. But the closed doors were not statements about your worth. They were decisions rooted in my protection over your life. You are not less valuable because something did not work out. You are not forgotten because an opportunity disappeared. You are not abandoned because the answer delayed longer than expected. There were also seasons when I allowed waiting because your heart needed strengthening before the next chapter arrived. I know you wanted relief quickly. I know you wanted the pain to end immediately. But some growth only forms through waiting. Some healing only deepens through quiet seasons. Some strength only develops when your trust learns to survive uncertainty. The delays were shaping parts of your spirit that immediate comfort could never shape. You may still carry sadness over certain doors that never opened. You may still wonder sometimes what would have happened if things turned out differently. But one day you will understand why I protected you the way I did. One day you will see how many unseen disasters were avoided through painful delays. One day you will recognize that some unanswered prayers were among the greatest acts of love heaven ever gave you. My child, stop seeing every closed door as punishment. Stop believing rejection means you are forgotten. Stop interpreting delays as evidence that heaven abandoned your story. I was guiding your life carefully even when the guidance hurt temporarily. I was protecting your future even while your heart cried over the present moment. I was preserving your peace even when you misunderstood my silence completely. And even now, there are things I am still protecting you from that you cannot fully see yet. There are delays happening right now that carry hidden mercy inside them. There are closed doors that are quietly guarding your future peace. Trust me when I tell you this. I have never been against you. Every painful pause, every difficult delay, every door that closed carried purpose deeper than your present understanding could fully hold. You are not being punished, my child. You are being protected, prepared, and guided by a love that sees far beyond what your eyes can currently understand. My child, I know there were many moments when heaven felt painfully silent to you. I know there were nights when you prayed with tears in your eyes and still heard nothing afterward. I know there were mornings when you woke up hoping something would finally change, only to face the same heaviness again. I know there were days when you searched for signs that I was near, but all you felt was quietness surrounding your heart. And slowly, because the silence lasted longer than you expected, you began misunderstanding it. You started believing silence meant absence. You started fearing that heaven had stepped away from your life. But my child, my silence was never abandonment. I was there in every moment you thought I had disappeared. You measured my presence by visible movement, by immediate answers, by quick relief from pain. But many times the deepest work I do happens where human eyes cannot see it yet. Just because everything looked still on the surface does not mean heaven stopped moving around your life. While you focused on what was not changing outwardly, I was already working quietly beneath the surface in ways your heart could not yet understand. I know the silence became emotionally exhausting. I know waiting stretched your spirit painfully. At first you remained hopeful. At first you believed answers would come quickly. But after enough unanswered prayers and delayed breakthroughs, disappointment slowly entered your thoughts. You started asking questions quietly inside yourself. Why does it feel like nothing is happening? Why does heaven seem so far away? Why am I still carrying this pain after praying so much? And because no immediate answers arrived, your heart slowly interpreted silence as distance. Comment, I trust you beyond the silence if your hope rests in His timing. And share this video.